We see the Prince of Asgard, Thor, who is a godling teenager with a big head, and all too ready to fall into a lapse of anger if things don't go his way. He spends his days in the battle ring, fighting Asgard's most fearsome band of warriors to the cheers of his people. Any warrior he fights acquiesces the brawl, a privilege due to him as son of the All-Father, Odin. Thor believes his flawless record is due to his keen swordsmanship and not his princely status. Lady Sif, Thor's obvious romantic interest, is the only one who challenges his inflated ego. She berates him for his pride, and for never seeing the world outside of Asgard. After dispatching him in one move with a hoe, in a humble barn fight, she flies off to join the Valkyries, to rid herself of her frustration. Thor's brother Loki also encourages the illusion and scoffs at Sif. Disheartened and furious, Thor heads to Odin's throne room, demanding that his father let him test his skills outside the kingdom. Odin refuses, stating that since Thor turned his training into a public spectacle, he is not worthy, and that he also fixes all of Thor's fights to ensure his victory to keep the people's faith in the royal family. Enraged, Thor decides to leave Asgard and seek adventure. Algrim, a dark elf, and the last survivor of his people, is Odin's advisor and also confidant to the young prince. He usually tries to discourage Thor, but upon viewing the current situation between father and son, he supports the journey, promising to delay Odin from discovering his plans. Meanwhile, Loki is training his magic skills with Amora, the enchantress. Loki is impressive for his age, which makes Amora flirt with Loki at times. Thor comes looking for Loki and requests him to join him on the adventure. They decide to board the Thunder Runner ship. The brothers stow away on the ship of the Warriors 3, who are self-proclaimed heroes, who encounter ice giants, dragons, rescue damsels, and anything else that makes a good story. They quickly discover that the trio's adventures are hogwash, since they encounter the brothers stationed at a local bar, frequented by many outer-worldly creatures. Thor, being Thor, picks up a fight with a nasty wolf-like beast, and the whole crew get into a huge brawl with the thugs. Somehow, they escape in the Thunder Runner after burning down the whole building, much to the amusement of the 5 friends. When the 3 brothers turn sail to ride home, Thor orders them to accompany him and Loki to retrieve the Sword of Surtur. Thor and his band of loyal companions venture to Jotunheim, the land of the ice giants, in search of the lost Sword of Surtur. The sword is the most powerful weapon in existence, capable of wiping out ice giants or armies in a single swing. Thor seeks the sword to bring glory to himself and Asgard. In Jotunheim, the group of 5 warriors walk through the icy hailstorms, climb the icy mountains, but Thor feels dejected, hopeless, and doubts their efforts. It is Loki who makes him believe in their course again. Then the brothers remember the great story, how King Odin defeated the king of Hell, Surtur, battling across the mountains. Thor realizes the lost sword must be at the foot of the hill. They fall into a crater while passing the pathway at the foot of the hill. Thor stands up, Loki shows them the gigantic Sword of Surtur, stuck in the top ice layer of the crater. They break the ice and the sword falls. As soon as Thor touches the sword, it eliminates a bright light and shrinks in size for Thor to wield the sword. The sword burns with real fire and displays a great deal of power, until Thor quickly puts the sword in his pouch. They head back to the north, where the Valkyrie are training. The patrolling rogue warriors get to know of their presence and chase them down. The group goes past the sleeping frozen sentries, but the sentries wake up at the call of the rogues, and attack the group. Thor takes the Sword of Surtur and releases the power, which kills the 2 giant sentries to his astonishment. At the news of the death of their warriors, and the discovery of the Sword of Surtur by the sons of Odin, the Frost Giants' king orders the army to march to Asgard, to wage war against Odin and his people. Meanwhile, Thor sneaks into the Valkyrie camp to meet with Lady Sif and to ask her help, but gets discovered by the guards who knocks him down. Meanwhile, the Frost Giants' army has marched on to Asgard, and the son of the king announces his father's demands to King Odin. Odin promised the Frost Giants' king to hand over the Sword of Surtur before sunrise, and his loyal advisor, Algrim, accompanied by the royal guard, goes to Jotunheim to escort Thor and Loki back home with Surtur's sword. Thor and his companions are put to execution by the Queen of Valkyrie, much to the disappointment of Lady Sif. Just then, the Frost Giants attack the training camp. Killing most of Valkyrie's soldiers, Frost Giants run rampage looking for the sword. Lady Sif rescues Thor from his handcuffs, Loki uses his magic to safeguard the group, and the three brothers also escape their bounds. The Valkyrie Queen hands over the sword to Thor, and orders Lady Sif to accompany everyone to Asgard. Algrim and the royal guard meet with Thor and his friends. Thor hands over the Sword of Surtur to Algrim, and the power of Surtur arises the vengeance in Algrim, who is motivated to avenge the death of his people from King Odin and the Frost Giants. Algrim destroys the royal guard with the blazing power of Surtur, and attacks Thor and Loki as well. He then makes his way to Asgard, to fulfill his vengeance. Algrim attacks King Odin seeking vengeance, and Odin strikes back with the might of the All-Father. The Frost King and his army await till the sunrise. As soon as the sun rises, they attack the walls of Asgard with all their might. Soon, sons of Odin, Thor and Loki, along with their friends arrive at the battle. Thor and Loki go to defend their father, three brothers and Lady Sif, joins the Asgardian army to defend the kingdom. Meanwhile, King Odin lies greatly worn out and weakened, against the power of the Sword of Surtur, at the hands of the dark elf, Algrim. Just when Algrim readies to strike the death blow to King Odin, Thor arrives and strikes back at Algrim. Thor defeats Algrim, after a fierce battle fought in the dark, and Thor does not kill Algrim. However, Loki kills Algrim, as he is filled with rage for Algrim since he attacked King Odin. Thor takes the Sword of Surtur to the King of Frost Giants, and hands over himself as prisoner to end the war. The Frost Giants' king, being as wise as he is, accepts his apology and retreats back to Jotunheim with the sword, and releases Thor, much to the annoyance of the Prince of Frost Giants. Thor meets with Loki, and the two brothers have a heart-to-heart talk with what happened. Thor sees his father, King Odin, and the king says he is proud of his son, who has grown to understand the value of peace. The three brothers are finally at peace, with a true tale for the ages, and Thor joins in, adding in some creativity to spice things up much to the delight of everyone. Finally, Thor meets Lady Sif, who is brushing her horse at the stable, just like always. They start over with a passionate kiss. Before we go, let's learn a bit about the Sword of Surtur. Surtur wielded the Twilight Sword, during a battle against Odin on Jotunheim, where the fire giant was defeated and the sword left stuck on a mountain. Long after, the sword was retrieved by Thor, and later used against the Asgardians by Algrim. After Algrim's defeat, Thor offered the sword to Thrym, to stop a war between Asgard and Jotunheim. At some point, the sword was retrieved and apparently reforged by Surtur. The Twilight Sword was wielded by Surtur for millennia, in hopes to use it to destroy Asgard during Ragnarok. Surtur used the sword to fight Thor, on Muspelheim, and finally to destroy Asgard along with Hela. The sword was destroyed as a result of the explosion of Asgard. Thank you for watching Millennium Pictures. Like, comment, share and subscribe for more awesome videos. Have a nice day.